Hi, good morning. Welcome to the latest episode of the Bitcoin Morning Brief. It is March 29th. I'm Leah Wald, hosting today with Tone Bays and Giacomo Zucco, CEO of BHB. It is 71 degrees here, 26 Celsius down in the south, but Tone looks pretty damn cold.
Yeah, this is, at one point I was looking like this. Can you guys hear me okay? This is,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm remote today. I'm back at my trailer. I'll take this one off. It was too cold for a normal hat. Here's what it looks like outside where I am, literally. And the reason why I'm here is this. I got my new miner. I'm home. I'm back home for like one day. I got the Canon Avalon, the 821 miner just came in the mail while I was in Ukraine, and like for the last hour and a half or so, I'm like redoing my setup with my miner. Had to buy a new power supply for the new miner and like replace the old miner. So I need to get this done. So that's pretty much. So it took me like 2.5 hours to drive up here this morning. And right after this video, I have another podcast with somebody else. I got to remember to tweet that out. Then I got to get back to doing the miner thing. This is kind of my life now.
Now, Giacomo, I don't think that you're in a trailer in Milan right now. How's your day going?
It's going better, but nobody works as much as Stone, so I'm just in a very warm and comfortable room in Milan.
That's nice. All right, let's get to the stories today since Tone has his upcoming interview. So we have Eurasia Association of Blockchain to sue social media giants for banning crypto ads. So cryptocurrency and blockchain associations in Russia, China, and South Korea are planning to file a joint lawsuit in May against Google, Twitter, Facebook, and Yandex for not allowing crypto-related advertising. So there's slim to no chance that this suit wins, especially given because they're filing in the United States and claiming that these social media companies are forming a monopoly. That's my opinion. However, the important point for me here is that crypto and blockchain associations are starting to fight back. So I have stated in the past that I'm happy about these ad bans because I do think it's good for Bitcoin. But I do believe that fighting back is very good because the assumption that all Bitcoin ads, scam ads, and reasonable ads by definition are evil is absolutely ridiculous. And this should ensure that nuances are going to be defined by Google, Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook, which again, I think is going to be good in the long run. Giacomo, if that's true, if it will force nuances and help Bitcoin, this is the first time that someone's bringing it up.
Yeah, my opinion is a little bit nuanced about this. If we were talking about some kind of government ban, like you cannot talk about Bitcoin or even about crypto scams between consenting adults, I will be totally against it. This is a little bit more weird because they are trying to sue private companies that are decided a private policy inside their platform. I mean, these kind of platforms, they also ban adult stuff like porn stuff. That doesn't mean that porn is per se bad. It's just a moderation choice. So I'm a little bit I'm not so much into this kind of fight back. I think there are like more interesting battle also because ads on this kind of platforms are usually just token sales and stuff like that, which I don't think are anyway very important for the advancement of Bitcoin, kind of the other way around. While, for example, maybe we can cover this when it actually become a news eventually. But there is, for example, a proposal to ban Bitcoin payment from the free open source Firefox browser payment plugin. That will be something, a little bit insidious because they're trying, this kind of pull requests will be trying to avoid users from using Bitcoin as an internet-based payment. That would be something serious. While overall, Bitcoin cannot be sold over Facebook, but actually Bitcoin get a widespread adoption without any kind of advertisement or marketing for the first 1 to 3 years. Bitcoin started to get widespread just because of its own merit, without any kind of marketing. I'm not against marketing, but it's not very useful for Bitcoin. So I think that platform can do whatever they want.
Sorry, I was muted. Tone, it's saying right here that the president of the RACIB recently said in Moscow, while you were there, I believe, that the actions of these 4 tech companies have negatively affected the crypto market.
Okay, sorry, was on mute. Oh, by the way, bonus points for whoever recognizes the logo on my hat. Comments are turned off, of course. So you're not gonna, but if you know what this logo is, bonus points to you. Also putting gloves on here.
So now on Twitter, a lot of accounts will start to say that they will give away free Ether if they with your face and your name.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, it's getting ridiculous, right? I mean, like most of my comments were filled by spammers and scammers. And these days, most of my tweets are bombarded with scammers and spammers. So like it's just aggravation. Anyway, let's get back to the story. So I pretty much agree with you, Giacomo, that I think this is borderline ridiculous. Also, these companies are called blockchain companies, so I have no idea what they actually stand for, because I don't know what these associations mean by the word blockchain. This is no different than Google saying we have a blockchain unit. I don't know what that means anymore, right? So for all I know, I would be against these organizations to begin with, and what they stand for. And like you said, these are private companies. They can choose what ads to show and what ads not to show. If you don't like it, create a competitor to Twitter. And I know you say, well, you are also against ICOs. That's right. Go and create a competitor to Twitter without scamming investors in your creation of the competitor to Twitter. And you will realize how hard it is. And you will realize that, yeah, you get to pick and choose which ads to show. Also, if the Bitcoin blockchain is to survive, we will be able to do it without these companies, right? Like, we don't need them. Bitcoin will still spread, and Bitcoin is still useful. Now, who has the biggest, the ones that have the biggest problem here are the ICOs and those that need to sell to unqualified investors. As far as this hurting the Bitcoin space, no. I don't believe that it is. I believe that the Bitcoin is currently in a bear market. It went up way too high in price, and we're just coming down. And every piece of bad news will be over exaggerated, and every piece of good news would kind of be ignored. So sure, you can kind of correlate that this is happening while Bitcoin price is going down, but in reality, Bitcoin price would have been going down with or without this news. And I don't remember, and I haven't seen a single advertisement for Bitcoin. All I've ever seen is for Ethereums and ICOs and other altcoins. I haven't seen any ad that's been, positive for Bitcoin, other than the football commercials in 2014 when BitPay sponsored a college football game. And instead of sponsoring it as BitPay, they sponsored it as Bitcoin. So probably the last good thing BitPay ever did for the Bitcoin ecosystem and economy.
Yeah, just last quick comment. Sometimes you also see Twitter mentioned in this kind of FUD, and I think that's really ridiculous, because Twitter AD just revealed to be an investor in Lightning Labs, and he's integrating Bitcoin into Cash App. He publicly said that he believes Bitcoin could be an interesting monetary future.
Excellent point. The Twitter CEO has probably been the biggest pro-Bitcoin person outside of the internal Bitcoin community in the last 6 to 12 months. And I would say way more pro-Bitcoin than 80% of the crypto community is the CEO of Twitter. So that's the last guy you want to aggravate with your silly lawsuit.
Very true. And he's thrown not just small amounts of money, but a large amount of money behind what he's saying. So I couldn't agree more. My friend sent me a picture when he was in the Phoenix airport yesterday of a very funny ad about Bitcoin. So maybe I'll share that later. Very pro Bitcoin. Okay, on to other desired regulations. So CBOE answers SEC concerns over Bitcoin ETFs. Nearly 4 months after Bitcoin futures hit Wall Street, trading giant CBOE Global is still working to ally U.S. SEC concerns over Bitcoin exchange. So exchange traded funds ETFs, right? So the SEC letter raised a lot of questions, including problems of liquidity and in determining NAV, daily net asset value, really, for trading. The SEC's role is important. They specifically are defined to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. For me, what's positive is that, and the only thing really of significance here is that the CBOE is actually taking a general comment and parsing it down as it should be parsed. So what the SEC is saying doesn't matter so much because they've said this numerous times. But what's important, I think, is that the CBOE came back and said, you know, we're not just going to let the SEC run over us. Instead, we're going to get ahead of this. So really kudos to the CBOE. I'm just going to pull up a quote below before handing it to you, Tone. So Concannon writes, while cryptocurrency related holdings do raise a number of unique issues, CBOE firmly believes that such holdings do not require significant revision to the well-established frameworks for evaluation regarding to evaluation related to evaluation, liquidity, custody, arbitrage, and manipulation. So this is saying, Tone, so this is saying let's not talk about all cryptos as a group. Let's start from a regulatory view on its merit. And if you do that, then we're confident that you could start approving well thought out ETFs.
So this one is hard. This is a hard story for me to analyze and criticize. So, all right, I don't even know where to begin, right? So I'm gonna slightly side with the SEC on this, okay? But the SEC already screwed up by allowing the GBTC ETF-ish product, which is really, really bad because of the way it's structured. So if the SEC was going to allow that GBTC nonsense, they should have allowed a real Bitcoin ETF, right? So at this point, because you can't put the genie back in the bottle and you can't remove the GBTC nonsense from existence, you almost now have to go through with it and provide people with a real product of a real Bitcoin ETF. However, I agree with the SEC that having a Bitcoin ETF is still very, very dangerous right now. And if I think having a Bitcoin ETF is dangerous right now, having any other ETF on any other crypto is downright stupid, okay? While I would be borderline okay with the Bitcoin one. So that's my general criticism of the SEC, that they should have taken this stance 3 years ago and not now. Now they should go the other way and allow a Bitcoin ETF, but don't even think about allowing anything else. Now, here's my rant on CBOE. I don't like where CBOE is going, okay? Now, I am somewhat familiar with CBOE because I'm an options trader, and CBOE is basically the options king, right? That's their CBOE is a derivatives exchange, but they're the options king. The CME is the CME and the ICE. I mean, it starts to get a little confusing there, but CBOE is nowhere near the top of the ladder when it comes to futures, right? That's CME's domain, ICE's domain, and a couple of others. They are like grossly above in competency level, and like I would never trade a CBOE future. I would trade the CME future because I feel like they actually know what they're doing much better. They have more liquidity, and anyway, on and on and on. Now, when the CME came out with their futures product that they talked about for months and months and months, and then they were ready to launch on December 17, CBOE comes out of nowhere and launches their product on December 1st, okay? Launches their product on December 1st ahead of the CME futures, kind of almost spitting in the face of the CME, while the CME is the more competent futures exchange, okay? And I didn't like that move at all. So anything the CBOE does at this point, when it comes to helping Bitcoin, I see that as a complete selfish move and perhaps a bit of an irresponsible move. So if the so again, I'm of completely two sides here. Like I want the SEC challenged because they screwed up years ago on GBTC, but I don't think I want the CBOE challenging them because I don't like the way things went down with the Bitcoin futures. If that makes sense to anyone listening, or I hope this made sense to anyone listening.
Giacomo, you've spoken from an anti-government regulation perspective before. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is probably the topic in which me and Tom disagree the most, because my criticism of the SEC is a little bit more radical. I don't think it should exist any bunch of bureaucrats that should decide what I can buy or sell. I think that's damaging in the long run, even for awareness of the public about scams and frauds, because people get lazy, they don't research because they just trust a bunch of bureaucrats that often do not really stop scams or frauds. There are a lot of SEC sanctioned scams or frauds. So I will feel very, very better if the market could learn itself, maybe through suffering, which is good and which is not, with a close, with skin in the game, let's say. So I don't think the SEC should even exist. But I think that independent reviewers like Tone and others, or maybe even organizations, could probably raise a lot of concerns about this or that kind of structured investment products. So I'm not really knowledgeable about this kind of futures or ETFs, and I'm sure that any kind of concerns can be more than legit. I just don't believe in regulators.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally am excited about ETFs because I think it's very easy for players to enter the market, invest, and for those that are confused by the current exchanges, how to enjoy and buy, right?
Yeah,
but
if I may, yeah, just another quick comment. I am a little bit scared about ETF, just on one perspective. I deal often with banks. And these banks are, in Switzerland especially, they are asked by their clients to buy Bitcoin on their behalf. Some of them are starting to do serious jobs for keeping and storing custodianship of the Bitcoins. Some are just waiting for synthetic products like ETF. And I think that if ETFs comes out too early, many of these banks will start to sell to clients not Bitcoin that they directly control and store for their clients, but everybody will start to sell ETFs because it's easier. But then that means that the concentration of the security risk will be super centralized on the security model of the ETF, let's say custodian, which could be like few entities, maybe in the US. And I would prefer a more distributed security model in which many institutional counterparties can learn how to secure Bitcoin, maybe also making mistakes and losing Bitcoins, but in a distributed mode instead of just centralizing the risk on very few institutions in the US.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah.
I'm gonna jump just real quick again. Like I if we were doing this show, let's say 2 years ago, I would have completely agreed with you, Giacomo. But what I've seen in the last year and how people believe that Ethereum is going to be the world's computer, it just scares me that the voices of you and me will not be heard and the entire world will be running on top of Ethereum and then there's going to be no, like all the lights will get turned off when that thing eventually implodes, which you and I both know it will. So I have gone a little 180 on the SEC and some of the other centralized regulators.
I agree with both of you guys. I think it's very interesting from a tech dev perspective, what you're talking about, Giacomo, if I understand, given also the nascency, learning from customer feedback from an MVP perspective, iterating quarterly, and potentially pivoting in the way that many of these products and software that these great devs have been coming out with has been fantastic. But again, Tone, I agree with you as well that I don't know if the regulators are going to be able to get their ducks in a row. And definitely what I've seen from what's going on in DC and who they pull in as the experts, it does not seem as if they have the right ones that are advising.
I will conclude with, if the regulators get this wrong, it's going to be the worst of both worlds, right? That if the regulators get it wrong, then I wish I would have been on your side during this entire discussion today, right? Like, I'm giving the regulators the benefit of the doubt that they're actually going to get it right, but that I could be totally wrong there.
Yeah. Also, I just got a note, guys, that maybe my screen is blurry. Sorry about that again, in the woods over here, but I'm going to do my best.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I see it fine. I'm keeping an eye on the live chat. I'm also in the woods, actually, so both of us are. It could be my fault, not yours, right? Because I'm the master stream in Zoom, but actually, I'm not sure how it works.
I'll take that one. I'll take the easy out. All right, Ripple joins Hyperledger blockchain consortium. I am excited to get Giacomo going on this one. And also,
please, Giacomo, go first, because I might just say WTF and go like this. I don't get it.
But I think I tweeted this. I think this is super positive because it's very tiresome to look at each one of these scam projects separately and to explain why they are scams. And if they all join each other, I mean, when at the beginning Hyperledger was created, I was happy because a lot of useless private blockchain projects were finally under the same roof. And now you have Ripple. If only the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance will join this, it would be so convenient for us. So we could just put the Hyperledger label over everything which doesn't make any technical sense, and we will be just. I mean, I have friends that works for Fabric, IBM's Fabric, and they are good guys, and they know that this doesn't make any kind of sense. This is just a marketing stunt for IBM to pretend they are covering some kind of major buzzword. I remember watching some kind of technical presentation of Fabric in San Francisco. It was incredibly well. Okay, I said enough. But Ripple is one of the first example of not cryptocurrency with a not blockchain, with a centralized structure. In Ripple, actually, everything works just because you have a centralized static list of validators selected by the company Ripple Labs. And the nice thing is that when Ripple goes to banks and financial services to promote their services, they say something like this: yeah, you've seen the open network with the XRP token, but we will sell you something better, like a Ripple without XRP, which is basically just like a Swift kind of database, but just managed by them instead of by Swift. So it doesn't make any sense, and I'm so happy that finally they are unifying the narrative. And I please, if you are listening, guys from Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, I would like you to join Hyperledger.
Tone, quote, WTF, elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying this for a long time. Since the day Ripple decided to create the scam token, I think since that day, they've enjoyed becoming millionaires and billionaires in 3 of their cases. But in reality, the Ripple token itself is the scam, not Ripple. I have to make this clear here. The Ripple token is the scam, not Ripple the project. I have no problem with Ripple the project. Ripple, the token, is the scam. Now, because Hyperledger does not have a token, Hyperledger is not actually a scam to me because it has no token. It may be a useless project. We can debate that. It may be useful, and you may think it's a blockchain. I will debate the fact that it's a blockchain, but it's not actually a scam, Hyperledger, because it doesn't have a token. So because maybe Ripple is realizing that they are way more scammy, and they're trying to join a less scammy project like Hyperledger that has no token. I mean, for the rest of Ripple's existence, they will do everything in their power to separate themselves from the token. And I bet you that even the people at the top of Ripple, Larson McCaleb is gone, right? McCaleb forked Ripple to cash out his billions. So he couldn't care less what the hell's going on. I think there was 2 other guys, and I think all of the real senior people that actually have a C-level manager on there, the CEO, the CTO, the board of directors, if they were given Ripple tokens, at the start. Like, I think all of those guys would rather have that token disappear and all of their value go to zero. The problem is they can't, because if that happens, they would get sued. If not, people go after them with pitchforks because it's a multi-billion-dollar valuation. So they're totally screwed. There's no way for Ripple to get out of this other than selling their technology into something like Hyperledger, and then giving Hyperledger the Ripple, like handing off the Ripple problem to Hyperledger, right? Hey, IBM's got money. IBM has a 100-year history. They have the lawyers. If we can shove this giant Ripple token scam problem onto a really, really big company, maybe we can get out of this, alive or without prison time or something. I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're thinking, right? Because if you believe that you are an actual leader and you can dominate the database space in the future, you shouldn't be merging with anyone. You should be crushing them in the product itself, okay? This smells of giant desperation to remove the scam token somehow. And guess what, guys? It ain't gonna happen. You're stuck with this thing until, the best thing you can hope for is that it tickles down to zero, 1 sub penny at a time, and not crash from 50 cents down to sub penny in 3 days, because then you got a big problem. If it slowly trickles away, or hey, go find a billionaire investor and buy it all out somehow again. But you can't buy it all out in the open market. You gotta do a buyout, like a company does a buyout. You just make an announcement. Hey guys, Ripple token is not needed for our system, but don't be afraid. We found an idiot investor that's gonna give each one of you that wants to redeem your Ripple token $1 per your Ripple token. So kind of like a stock buyout where you offer a higher valuation versus the value of the company. And then everyone walks away happy. They can take that dollar and they can invest it in anything they like if they turn in their tokens minus Jeb McCaleb's tokens, right? So they don't even need a billionaire, maybe, or whatever, right? 100 billion tokens, only $100 billion. Just go find someone. I mean, go ask the Fed. It's not a big deal, right? It's exactly what Jeb McCaleb told Mark Arpellis. Oh, it's only 80,000 Bitcoin that I forgot to give you. Just go out and buy them. It's not that hard, right? So go out and find someone that wants to buy out 100 billion Ripple tokens. Maybe the CEO of Ripple not going to take any money. Buy the damn thing out, get rid of the token, and then maybe you can. Then you wouldn't have to merge with Hyperledger to eliminate your stupid problem. I mean, I don't know what else I can say.
So, Ton, you mentioned Ripple senior board members and C-levels. I would like to hear a comment about your proposal of one, especially of the senior board members, which is Ben Lasky, the guy that started to cripple down business, Bitcoin business in New York State, creating the BitLicense, and then he quit his regulatory office to fund his own consultancy company to navigate companies inside the BitLicense. And now he joined Ripple, actually. He is one of the senior board members of Ripple. So a comment from such a great personality would be very, very funny to hear.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. I mean, the good news is you have Ben Lawsky. He has some connections to the government. Send them over to the Federal Reserve. They just got a new chairman. Maybe he can print you 100 billion. I mean, like wait for Ripple to go down, though. Like, you don't want to buy out Ripple right now. You want it to go back down to about 20 cents, preferably 10 cents. You know, this way you're only going to need someone with about $50 billion, and then you can get out of your problem. But yeah, I mean, it's terrible. Like what Ben Lawsky and what you want then and joined Ripple. I mean, it's fitting, right? I mean, he joined one of the dumbest projects in all of crypto. So it makes total sense the guy was clueless to begin with. But it really depends on how much Ripple token they gave him for him to join that company. You know, someone should look into that.
Giacomo, one quick tech question. It says here the Hyperledger Quilt project obviously connects Hyperledger blockchains also to the Bitcoin Lightning. They've teamed up with this Japanese company to retool the protocol with Java. Is this going to make things easier?
So right now, Hyperledger has been born with the precise marketing message of interoperability. That's the name itself. Hyperledger is like an interoperable collection of ledgers. Actually, no single project inside, at least last time I checked technically with my team, it was more than 7 months ago, no single protocol inside Hyperledger was interoperable with any other protocol. In no way, there was no single interconnection. So I don't think that they will be crack any integration between Bitcoin Lightning, also because Lightning Network itself doesn't really need integration by a third party. Lightning is automatically integrated between blockchain if you want. I don't think that it makes any sense to have different blockchains, but if you really do have different blockchain, Lightning Network can just route payment among each blockchain, among multiple blockchains if you need it. You just need the blockchain to have the same hash function because of the hash lock time contract. Once you have that, you can route Lightning payment. Already now, I could establish a Lightning Network payment that does one Hope Bitcoin, one Hope Litecoin, one Hope Vertcoin, one Hope fiat payment between Tone and you in exchange of a secret pre-image, and then it routes again, and it will work. So Lightning itself doesn't need any kind of external interoperability project. If you have functioning blockchain without transaction malleability and with the right hash secret, it works.
Perfect. Thanks for explaining. All right. And moving on, and also to say, Tone, I think it's hilarious. I'm with you, right? Startups trying to raising tens of millions of dollars with these ICOs who can hardly even raise $1 million from angels, right? Just a liquidation event would be hilarious, given especially dilution. There's no vesting schedules, right? I mean, can't even evaluate it. It would be, I can't wait. I think it would be very funny. Okay. More tech and, wait, I almost did more screen share. Okay, one second. More Lightning news. Let's see if this is up. Okay. Bitcoin's Lightning Network gets charged with 7 new Lightning apps. So here's another example of how quick Bitcoin's Lightning Network is developing. Layer after layer, progressive programs, achievements seem as if they're coming fast and furiously. Giacomo, what do you think?
Yeah, these are more proofs of concept than actual usable apps. These labs are just the ones built around the Blockstream C Lightning that Blockstream, of course, launched in this one lab for every day of the week initiative. They are nice, they are cool, especially I think that the nano tip, the one about tips is very interesting because tips were terrible in Bitcoin because it would be nice to have the possibility to tip people across social medias and stuff without having to connect and onboard over clumsy payment methods. So to send just Bitcoin for appreciation would be nice, but then you have the problem that blockchains are slow, expensive, and inefficient. And so with Lightning Network, actually you can tip without using centralized application like Change Tip, where you actually had to deposit all your Bitcoins in a fiduciary third party, trust-based third party. So that was nice. If then that integration is also nice. So there is this nice application that connects different platforms. And if you receive an email, then it starts a tweet, and you can easily create a simple algorithm that can just transmit from one event to the other. And now with this nice lab, you can trigger any kind of action on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on Google Drive, or whatever, by Lightning payment. So it's these are more proofs of concept, as I said, but they are cool. They explain the potential of finally permissionless micropayments, instant micropayments, without any kind of trust-based counterparty. I think it will take some time to see this stuff used in the real world by non-geeks. I know that Eclair mainnet wallet just came out like yesterday, so I still didn't try it. I don't know if any of my guys in Blockchain Lab tried it, but yeah, we have another mainnet Lightning app with Eclair by Async. So these things are going fast and furious. And of course, we have to be patient. Real life application by normies will take months.
Tone, do you think it'll snowball?
I honestly, I'm not sure. This is more Giacomo's domain. I mean, I'm happy with any good progress when it comes to Lightning, right? So I'll yield my time over to Giacomo on this one.
All right, sounds good. Giacomo, do you have any last thoughts, or can you tell us about the mempool?
So the mempool is still very is nice. There is not much to say. It's still low fee, low stack transaction, low mempool dimension. Last time we started to instead take a look over Lightning Network statistics. It's growing, 1,480 nodes with 3,596 channels, and with 8.3 Bitcoin of capacity. You have to consider that every channel has very low capacity, also for security reasons. So it's growing. There is activity. I mean, opening and closing channels. Of course, we cannot see. This is a nice feature of Lightning Network. We cannot see activity of transaction going on. Unlike the blockchain, we cannot track people paying people, and that's good. So yeah, I think everything is going kind of nice and slow and increasing.
Slow and steady wins the race. That's good. Tone, you've been calling for this 7,500 area. We hit it. We dropped below it to 7,300. What's going to happen?
All right, let's go to the live stream. Sorry, live stream. We're on live stream. Let's go to the screen share on my end. So I did a long show last night talking about. Hold on a second, guys. Let me see where I am here. Sorry, more trying to multitask too much. I did a show last night talking about capitulation, and I pointed to this awesome 2015 article. And by 2015, I mean like the first week of January 2015. So virtually 2014 article by George Salmon and Cointelegraph. We were both writing for Cointelegraph at the time. And he wrote a great article talking about capitulation and how markets bottom. And the interesting thing I want to point to is after my show last night, someone asked me, where do you think we are on this chart? And I thought that was a very interesting question. So if I point us to the daily chart, I know usually I start with the weekly chart, right? So you can almost see it, right? If I zoom out the daily chart, let me move this over to here. If I zoom out the daily chart, I take the indicator out of view so that it doesn't, take up a lot of space. You can see where this hype kind of started, right? So if I do one of these, you can kind of see where the hype cycle started. It was somewhere here in the middle. Now, this is the logarithmic scale. So we've already fallen more than 50%. So now if you look back at this article, right? So here is the halfway point, and we've already fallen more than 50%. So I would say that we have already passed the anxiety stage, passed the denial stage. I think the denial stage took place when I was telling people that consolidation at 13,000 is going to take us lower, and then consolidation at 10,000 was going to take us lower. I think that was denial. I think the fear stage started when people realized that most of them were wrong. They started calling for low prices, and then we had that big drop to 6,000. I think that was the fear stage. I think right now we are in a depression stage as people come to the realization that Bitcoin is going lower. And unfortunately, we still have 3 stages to go: panic, capitulation, and depression. So hopefully the depression doesn't take too long and capitulation is swift. And this article actually does a pretty damn good job of explaining what this whole thing is about. Now let's go to the price. And my weekly chart went bearish as of this red line. I'm going to continue talking about it. Now this week, today is Thursday. I think you and Tyler did a show this morning. I have not seen it yet. I was already started messing around with the miner behind me. And so hopefully I'll catch that on my drive home or something. But yeah, I know Tyler still is optimistic that the level 3 of Hyperwave is going to hold. I don't think so. Actually, I haven't thought that at any point in the last few weeks. So the weekly chart has gone bearish. The faster we go down over the next week or so, the higher the probability that the 50-week moving average at around 6,600 has the ability to bounce the price back up. I give that a small chance, but a chance, okay? The daily chart is where it's all happening. I also talked about yesterday about how all of these arrows came about in my charts, because some people think that, oh, if your arrows don't work out, just draw new arrows. That's not exactly how it works. But it's I find it kind of funny that right now, Bitcoin is at exact price where I expected Bitcoin to be 2 weeks ago. However, I expected us to get here from the opposite direction, but I did expect us here. So therefore, because this is the price of Bitcoin I expected weeks ago without that silly G20 news, the long-term outlook for Bitcoin has not changed. This is also the reason why I did not delete these arrows that did not work out the last 2 weeks, because I still expected the back end of these arrow projections to continue to work its way forward. So my outlook for Bitcoin remains full bearish at this moment. Now I'm going to turn on the indicator and let's see what we got. We are on a 6 of 9 daily with a 5 underneath. So you have multiple reasons to be bearish right now. First of all, you are almost at an intraday low. You are now lower than every single close on daily basis, except February 5th close, going back all the way to November, mid-November. Okay, so that's not good. The intraday is still slightly holding up as well. I don't expect all of that to hold. I am bearish here. The technicals are bearish. This has nothing to do with FUD. This has nothing to do with fundamentals. This has all this has to do was looking at candles. I don't have to know what this asset is. If I looked at this chart completely independently, this is exactly what I would say. So all your 13s are gone. All your green arrows are gone. You're on a 6 going into a 9. And even if you get to a 9, you're going to still have multiple numbers of a countdown from this 9. The 9 that took place on the 14th of March is now obviously a continuation 9. I had already labeled it a continuation 9 on the 18th. Actually, not even the 18th. On the 17th of March, I had labeled this as a continuation 9, taking us to new lows to a 13 along the bottom. The following day, I thought I was proven very correct until the news reversed us for about 4 days. And now we're actually going where I expected us to go back then. So yeah, you're looking for a 9 for a short-term bounce. It's very likely that the next 9 to the downside is only going to lead to a short-term correction because you're working on a 13, and then that 9 is going to have its own 13. Like, I think the bearishness is really about to snowball. And shorter-term time frames, I drew this line last night. What did I say, guys? Those that were watching me last night, I said, hey, once this red line breaks, look out below. And look, this was a perfect short trade. I discussed it almost in real time. Then I went to sleep. The moment you dropped below this line, the 2 went below a 1 at a perfect point. That is your absolute perfect trade from 7,800 or whatever this line is, straight down, and it's still pointing down. This was the arrow that I drew. Wish I drew it 1 candle earlier, but hey, nothing's perfect. This is the 1 hour chart. Again, the same line. You had a 9, you had a little bit of a stabilization, and then boom, you drop lower. Let me look at a 12-hour chart. Is there anything here? No, absolutely nothing. You had another 9. You have now gone lower. Your 2 is below a 1. You're working on a countdown. This is yet another 9 that has now proven itself to be another continuation 9 on a 12-hour chart lower. Well, like every single time frame from 1 hour, 1 hour, 4 hour, 12-hour, daily and weekly, everything is bearish. There is nothing more I can say. I want to glance at the S&P 500. Yeah, that's a little neutral. Not really going to talk about it. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop my screen share at this point, and I will just say that in about 5 minutes, watch my Twitter. I'm going live again on a different YouTube channel to talk about the Steemit scam. I haven't talked about the Steemit scam in a year and a half. People seem to have gone, like that. But I will be on a different YouTube channel talking about the Steemit scam. So watch my Twitter for the link. I'll send it to you there. And for those of you that joined us late, here's where I am on my 1 day back in New York from Ukraine. So I actually went to somewhere that's Ukraine and Russia. So I actually went somewhere that is colder than Ukraine and Russia on my 1 day in New York. I'm here to set up my new Avalon miner. So hopefully after my next video, I just took it out of the box. I got the 821 Canon, and I'm already looked at the back of this thing, and the connectors are different. So the power supply that I bought, whatever this thing is, the EVGA Supernova. I know nothing about mining, guys. This is like setting up that miner was one of the most frustrating 2 weeks of my life the first time. Second time should be easier because I only have a couple of hours and it's already working behind me. I have connected the power supply to my 741 miner. So that seems to be running. The thing is, the connectors on the back of this miner there's 8 of them. Meanwhile, there was only 6 on the other one, and my power supply only has 6. So I'm like, shit, I really hope that the $500 or $400 that I just paid for the power supply actually connects this miner, because if it doesn't, that's like, it's like last time I wasted like a month and a half setting up the miner. And if I have the power supply problem, I'm gonna have, I mean, like the most profitability this miner is gonna give me is in the first month. So I really don't want to lose another full, like half of all the profitability from this miner. Guys, mining is so specialized. Unless you're doing it to help support the decentralization of the network, it's really not worth it. I mean, it's really not worth it. But I'll bring you a video before I leave. This winter wonderland, a video of my attempts to convert my 741 into the 821 Canon Avalon. Shout out.
Okay, not good price news, going down and down. Bad projections, it sounds. Bitcoin's even below the phase 3 line regarding hyperwave, also not looking good. Note, NASDAQ closing in 3 hours for the week. Holidays tomorrow, and GBTC even broke the phase 2 line, even though Tone does not like GBTC, but bad omen for Bitcoin. Bears are growling.
And tomorrow I am off to Vancouver. I'm teaching my trading seminar in Vancouver on Saturday. I actually had no idea it was a holiday weekend until,
so you like warm places, Tone?
Oh yeah, no, this is perfect. Like one of the reasons I quit my job is so that I can be like around New York in the summer and somewhere warm in the winter. And this is not working out.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, this is the Bitcoin Morning Show, albeit almost 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's March 29th. You can listen to the show later on iTunes. Thanks to the World Crypto Network. Thanks, guys. Giacomo?
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.